We have Molly Parchment on a Zoom call, ready to go and share some of the backstage stories, the humorous, uplifting, fun, connecting times that were of the before times, before the closing of the curtain and keeping the ghost light on. But before that, some promotional stuff. Yay, yay, hooray. Ooh, look at this. I see Monkey, Monkey, Monkey. Grandmaster Ong, thank you for tuning in. Yeah. He has a Discord that I just joined about all this flow stuff. As a juggler, I of course love it. Here we go. So tomorrow night, Strange Times Indeed will be on at 9 o'clock. You can call in and share your strange stories, anything that might be bizarre. Cliff McAllister will be delighted to hear them, and maybe even explain some of your dreams if you have a dream log. Yeah. And let's see, why not just go ahead and get into the show? Everyone's here. We want to hear from Molly. So let's go. Molly, hello, welcome. Hold on, just one moment. I'm not registering your audio real quick. Now say hello again for us.
Hello.
Yay, we can hear Molly now. Isn't that great? Oh, wow. So, Molly, you know what's funny? I happened to wear a shirt today with an apple on it, a Big Apple Circus, but I wore it because I know that you're a teacher and I had ensemble school stuff in the beginning, and you could see right through my chest at some of the comments. But anyways, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah, it's awesome that you wore your Apple shirt. I'm getting excited about doing ensemble school coming up. A little nervous as it's going to be a little bit of a different format, and I've never taught virtually before, but I'm excited to see all of my students again.
Yeah. See them on the screen, on the small screen. So, anyways, I just started doing this show, and it's fun because I task you with talking about everything you've ever done artistically in like 15 to 20 minutes, so that way we can allow people to call in, right? um,
Yeah.
so, to backpedal from the presence, obviously you're involved with the ensemble school, but during COVID times, you've also been working with the Comedy Pigs, right? To do
Yes. Yeah, so if we're working back in time, so I guess I'll start with how I found the Maryland Ensemble Theater, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course. Let's hear it.
Okay, so I moved back to Maryland in 2017 and had just had my son in January of that year. And I have connections to theater in Baltimore, but had never performed in Frederick before. So didn't really have an avenue to jump back into theater. And it wasn't really on my radar since I had just had my son earlier in the year. But sometime in the summer, my husband and I were driving around downtown and saw a billboard that said Comedy Pigs Live, 8 p.m. tonight. And Mark, my husband, was like, "Oh, you should totally contact them," because I had just finished doing improv in
You
Chicago.
should totally contact them. Oh my gosh. Good job,
Like,
Mark.
I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I should contact them. That's like, what am I going to say? Like, hey, I'm an actress from Chicago.
Like,
Hello. And
hey, I'd like to do creative stuff. I hear you guys do creative stuff. And for
right.
anyone who doesn't know, the Comedy Pigs are an improv troupe right here in downtown Frederick, where we're broadcasting from, and they've been around for around 25 years, and Molly's been a part of them. So, but anyways, yeah. So you reached out to the
Yeah.
pigs?
Yeah, well, so I reached out to, I went on the website and I found contact information for Tad. And so who's the artistic director of the Met. And
Yes.
I emailed him and was like, Hello, I'm an actress from Chicago. I just moved back to the Maryland area. I have experience in improv and with teaching and would love to learn more about your theater. And Tad, being the wonderful person that he is, was like, yeah, I'll totally meet with you. So I met with him, and then he gave me contact information for the pigs and for the teaching, and gave me the information for the um, auditions. What is it?
General auditions or like
No, no,
auditions for the main
thank
stage?
you. Yes, for the main stage for that coming season. And so I met with Laura and they auditioned me, and then I joined the Comedy Pigs. And fast forward 3 years later, and now I'm a company member and I teach for the ensemble school. And I've been a comedy pig for 3 years now.
Yeah,
So,
it's funny. As someone who, I mean, I'm the technical director at the Met, so I'm physically there like all the time, and so it's interesting to see who else is also there a lot. And you're one of those people with the many different things that you do at the Met. And it's funny how you say Tad was like, "Oh yeah, I'll get you connected to this, this, and this," and that's very often in the theater world where it's like, "Oh, you wanna do stuff? We've got plenty to do. How much do you want to sign up for?" And it sounds like you signed up for all of it.
yeah. And he was also, I do remember Tad saying to me, the more that you're around, the more we're just going to stuff you into
Right.
different parts of the theater. And that was definitely true of where my first introduction to the Met was doing the Comedy Pigs, which was a good fit because my son was so little and I didn't want to spend a ton of time away from him. So doing a main stage show where I had to be at rehearsals every night and multiple shows.
Carly says,
Um,
"I love Molly." Yay, Carly!
Hi, Carly. So that would have been too much of a commitment with a young newborn. But the Comedy Pigs were a great fit because we rehearsed once a week, and it allowed me to use my improv skills that I had just studied in Chicago and perform a couple times a month with that group. So I was really glad to get involved with the pigs first, and then it kind of snowballed from there.
You know, now that Carly has made a comment, I'm going to mention one more thing. You're involved with the in school program at the Maryland Ensemble Theater, which takes shows to schools that don't have a dramatic arts department or anything, right?
Yeah.
Please elaborate on that because
Yeah, so we go to
Carly's involved with
a
that as
ton.
well. So,
Yes, Carly is and has been involved with it way more, or way longer than I have. I just got involved with the after school program as of this past fall. So I would have hit a year this month. But for the in school program, we go to different schools around the Frederick area, and they have a choice of what show they want to put on. So we've done Aladdin and Little Mermaid and We Are Monsters. And so we bring the show and cast them in it and rehearse them and teach them the choreography and all the blocking and put on a show for their school. And it's really, really fun. It's a lot, but it was a lot of fun to do. I
yeah,
really loved seeing all the different schools around the area and meeting the kids. I kind of got thrown into the deep end in this past spring doing Snow White. Yeah, Snow White at West Frederick Elementary, and that was really fun.
Yeah, I've been involved in some load-ins and some strikes. So I've witnessed some of it, and I just think, my gosh, all the work that you do, we gotta pew pew, yeah, take them out with all that. Yeah, I I'm just like, this is a lot. People in this program are doing a lot, so we got to start flashing backwards in time even more quickly. So before that, I mean, you were in Chicago studying some improv in Chicago. So what? Go for it. Keep going backwards. What
So
else were you doing
So
there?
going backwards in time, so before coming back to Maryland, after I graduated college, I moved to Chicago in 2013 and was there all the way until 2017. And during my time in Chicago, I taught for a theater called Emerald City Theater, which was a children's theater where I taught.
Thank you,
uh,
Julie. Julie is the point person for the in school program, complimenting Molly on being a powerhouse in the comments right now.
I read that. That was really sweet, Julie. So I taught for Emerald City and also performed for them where they did because they're no longer in business, unfortunately, but they did shows for children as well. I know, really sad. So I performed for them and taught for them and did a number of different shows around the Chicago area and took classes at Improv Olympic or IO for short. That
Oh,
was
okay.
my
So
time in Chicago.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Chad Shoemaker made a comment before the show saying that his daughter was finally taking her first theater arts class, and apparently his daughter remembers Carly and you and Julie from the Frozen Junior show at Brunswick.
Hmm.
She was a hidden folk
And
and a townsperson. Double cast. Great.
that's awesome. I actually didn't teach at Brunswick.
Maybe it's just Julie and Carly then. Yeah, I'm
But I
sorry.
think probably just Julie and Carly. I know that they both did that show. But that's awesome. The in school program is so amazing. And the kids, regardless of what part they have so much fun. And it's really cool to see all the different age groups work together. And you got fifth graders hanging out with the first graders. And it's a really fun program.
Yeah, I could certainly imagine that. I mean, when I finally got into theater more in high school, I just remembered how connecting it was with all of my peers. You know how much fun it was to be involved in this larger project together, and like my part. Like I'm responsible that my part like helps everyone else's helps the whole show. You know, however it was, is so cool. So, I actually, you know what? We can go ahead and do this now. I've got pictures of you that you sent. I just have screen grabbed the whole thing, right? Um, we've got a lot of photos of Molly in several different productions, and please, um,
Yeah, so the first one up at the top, if you that's all the way to the left of the screen, that was my first show ever. That
first
was
show
when I was a
ever.
munchkin. That was when I was a munchkin in the Wizard of Oz, down at Maryland Arts Festival in Towson. I had done dance for a number of years and really loved dance. And the year before at my dance company that I danced. I don't know if it's called a dance company when you're five, but I had been cast as Michael in the ballet version of Peter Pan and loved it. And so my mom found an ad in the newspaper advertising that they needed munchkins for the Wizard of Oz. So I went and auditioned, and that was my first show, and I got totally hooked.
And there you were. Oh my gosh. I'm seeing a
Yeah.
comment those beards. I'm gonna try and find those beards. What beards are we looking at?
It's
These ones.
probably the beards. Yeah, that's from the Comedy Pigs sketch show. That was my most recent show. So before the quarantine, that was the last onstage show that I did.
Wow.
And
In the
that's
before times.
in the before times, before everything. Yeah, that was the last show. So that's the first and the last.
That was a fun sketch show. I
Crazy.
actually right at the beginning of quarantine got to edit that and release that as something that could be seen in case you missed it right at the top of the whole COVID thing. So, and that's online, right, on the Comedy Pigs YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah, you were such a huge help with getting that out there, and it's on YouTube as well, where you can watch the whole show. And that show was so much fun. It definitely has an advisory warning of where you probably
Yeah.
shouldn't be under the age of 18 and watching it.
Yeah, yeah, I would recommend that as well. This picture here looks like you're teaching,
Yes, that
right?
was at Emerald City Theater in Chicago, one of their summer camps that I taught. I taught summer camp with them starting summer of 2012 all the way through summer of 2016 was my last summer teaching for them.
We got a Lauren Johnson yelling out a woo because Lauren actually did tech for that particular sketch show we were just talking about.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And what a job that was, because the Comedy Pigs did not hold anything back for this sketch show. It
Oh,
had everything. And she made it happen. She kept it going, and it was not a clean show in terms of content or in terms of the stage at the end. It was a mess.
well, apparently you did
So,
a great job according to Shaden. Shaden
oh,
thinks
thanks, Jaden.
the show was great.
Jaden is awesome. He and I worked together on Radium Girls when he was the ASM for that the last February.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Shaden is also stage managing the first main stage project of the season of Surprises. It's going, well, I don't know what I can announce about it yet, actually. What's been announced?
I don't know, but I know that it's
Stay
TV.
tuned because we have something coming for you in September that's going to be really great. And Shaden is stage managing. So yeah. What has been announced? What has I don't wanna spoil the real announcement of what we're cooking up for you. All right, I'm gonna take
Better to be vague.
yes, we're gonna be vague for sure. Okay. Well, I think maybe in 3 minutes we'll have a caller call in. We have a few people in the waiting room already that you had reached out to with this same Zoom link. So, what else can we elaborate on? Like, as a theater artist, I find a lot of us get caught up in a bunch of different mediums. Like there was this one time I did this one like cool thing or that cool thing. So, um, what of anything like that have you have been involved with at some
Sure.
time?
So, other than doing stage, which I've done, I think I counted it last night, I've done 60 productions in my life,
Whoa!
which is crazy. Yeah, 60 productions.
It's
Which,
good that you
hi,
kept
bud.
counting because a lot of people like I mean like I feel like after 15 or 20 I'm like yeah I've done a lot.
Yeah. We have a special guest for a
Hey
second.
Tennessee.
This is my son.
Tennessee is a theater kid because he's the kid of
Okay,
Molly
I'll
who
be down
does
in a
all
second.
this theater. And you know what? I have to share a story about Tennessee here. Tennessee is a cool dancer. I remember we were watching We Are Monsters at one of the in school programs. It was the last show because I was there. We're about to do some strike or whatever, right? I feel like Tennessee
Mm-hmm.
had started memorizing the dances in the show and then started making up his own dances, just hanging out. We were like really quiet, like behind the little soundboard or whatever. And Tennessee is just going after all these energy, all this dancing, not interrupting anybody, but it was fun. Cutest kid in history, according to Julia.
Thanks, Julia.
Yes, I agree. Good job,
Yeah.
Tennessee. You're a great
We've done a
dancer.
lot of stuff together, haven't we, bud? So I guess that's one random thing that I've done. Over quarantine, we started doing Wednesdays. We did a little show where we found a book, and Tennessee and I put on little plays just for a few friends and family to keep them entertained over quarantine. We did, I think, 15 shows in total.
It was great. It was on your Instagram, and it was great. I remember watching those stories, and it's lovely to have that outlet for the both of you during the
Yeah.
time where you were together. and he seemed to get a real kick out of it. And he'd just do whatever he wanted to in the show. At a certain time, there'd be times where he's like, "No, I'm doing this," and I was like, "Great,
Yeah.
love the initiative, best little actor," and he is a star. Yes, he really is. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, it was so much fun to do that with him. But for me, something different that I did was, hi, bud. One more. Okay. Um,
yes,
we're
the
setting up Daniel Tiger.
librarian loves the books for sure. The kid,
This is the
especially,
life of
yeah.
a mom in theater, which I love. But yeah, so random things that I've done. I tried stand up for 1 month in college.
I've always thought about trying stand up for like one day, and I don't.
I was not successful at it. If I'm being honest, I took some liberties with some other stand-up sets that I saw, and that's not good. So I
Right.
quickly stopped stand-up because I didn't have the talent or the writing for it. I did do my own one-woman show as my senior thesis for college, and I performed it a couple times in Chicago, where it was completely improvised, and I had a bunch of different characters that I had created and performed. Office orientation was my format for the show, and that was really fun. But it was short-lived after I moved up to Chicago because I got nervous about performing it.
The one-person show is a lot of work, for sure, but it's really cool when you get to watch a one-person show and see all the hoops that the performer has to jump through without it making it seem like they're jumping through all the hoops all on their own. Well, okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get to some of these call-ins now, actually. So we're gonna take a short break. We're gonna be right back, and there'll be someone from Molly's past sharing some backstage stories about what it's like to work together, especially in the theater industry. So here we go to the break. Over the hump, ba-doo-doo-doo. Oh, over the hump.
Life inside during the pandemic getting you down? Worried that there's nothing you can do to pass the time? No laughs left to be had? All gone crazy? Well, bam! Guess what? Met Comedy Night is coming to Twitch. Heck, it's there right now, and you can join us every week with shows from the Comedy Pigs, Oh Crit, Strange Times Indeed, Over the Hump, and more. That's right, follow us on twitch.tv/MetComedyNight for all the laughter you need. Oh God, I don't think I can do this anymore. Oh, he's biting my butt. He's biting my, oh God, that's my hand, oh my gosh, just kill me now.
And we are back. Welcome, Molly. Who is this?
So below me, we have the wonderful Julia Williams, who's one of my fellow comedy pigs.
Hi, I am Julia.
You were just commenting in the chat, Julia. Thank you.
I was like, oh, I should probably watch like what's happening just so, I can tag on to some of Molly's stories. And it's funny, Molly said, I always forget that you were there in Chicago from 2013 to 2017. And I feel like we had this conversation where I was like, how did we miss each other? How did we not overlap? I used to walk past Emerald City all the time on my way to work in 2019. So obviously 2 years after you were gone, but still, yeah.
We swapped places because you were here and doing the Comedy Pigs, and then you left and went to Chicago. And then I left Chicago and came to Frederick and joined the Comedy Pigs. But now we're
I
together.
also was in Chicago probably once a year around the times that you were living in Chicago, so I'm surprised we didn't hang out.
And it's funny because there are so many times when I was living in Chicago that I would run into somebody who knew somebody from Maryland or Frederick or something. And I was just like, how teeny weeny tiny is the theater industry? Because like, I don't know, I feel like when I was first starting out, when I was 22, right out of college, I felt like I didn't know anybody at all. And then within a year of working at the Maryland Renaissance Festival and doing Comedy Pigs, I felt like I kept running into people that were like, oh yeah, I knew that person in college, or oh yeah, I did a show with them in Virginia or something. Like it was just, it's constant. Yeah.
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 Our videos got realigned and I saw Molly twice, so now you're back on screen, Julio.
I'm here.
Hey. All right, so this is one of my favorite things to do as far as like I really want to hear a story from Julia's perspective about a time where you were working on something together with Molly, something funny or humorous or uplifting and connecting. But I want to, especially something that maybe audience members of the theater wouldn't know goes into a show or something. Or if there was a catastrophe, if something was really about to go wrong and it did or didn't somehow. I don't know. What do we have?
I mean, I only moved back to Maryland in November, so I've only been working with. Let me fix that light. I've only been working with Molly since November, but that Comedy Pig sketch show of this year, this infamous story that we can tell. I feel like, let's see, there were so many moments, but I have to go because I mentioned you showed that picture of the two of us in our fake beards. So Thomas Schultes, who's been a Comedy Pig for a decade now. He wrote this like geriatric rap about two old guys, and Molly and I were assigned these roles, and we worked so hard to get these raps down. And
I think Lauren Johnson likes that sketch.
We tried so hard. But yeah, no, it was just like there was like one night where we got it. And then there were other nights where we were like offbeat or something. And we would just like sit there and stare. I think the closing night, we just sat there staring at each other going, no, we actually don't remember the rest of these words.
Yeah,
sorry.
I think the one night that you got it, I didn't have a recording of.
No!
So if you watch the sketch show that I edited, there's like I actually edited in a couple different nights, but there was like at least one point where I had to put in a mistake, and it was like, we're cool with it. I mean, that's actually what happened. So Lauren thinks that was her favorite sketch. It looked like a fun time.
It was so fun. Doing that sketch was so fun. But during Tech Week, Julie and I would have conversations where we were like, we have to tell Thomas we can't do it. We have to. We have to.
I feel like this is my, I want to say my, this is my fifth sketch show with the Pigs over the past like 9 years. And I have to say that every single year this happens to me or someone else in the show where there's a pig that's like, we can't do this sketch. Like, this sketch is impossible. We can't do this sketch. And it's usually one of Thomas's sketches now that I think about it. And Thomas is always like, nah, you can do it. And we're like,
I can picture his face. I can picture his face.
Oh yeah. And he'll like laugh it off at you like, no, it's a thing.
If
no,
I
you
could do it, anyone
do it.
can. I don't know. So I got to bring this up. The both of you being involved with the Comedy Pigs are going to be involved in Met Comedy Night as we start rolling out a season of shows that are on Twitch. And we'll have a extravaganza this upcoming week. So that's the 31st through the 4th of September. Every night there's going to be something, and the Comedy Pigs are going to be involved in that in some capacity. So stay tuned, right?
Yes.
We're working on becoming more and more interactive in the digital form, because that's what improv comedy is. You're trying to be interactive with the audience. What's the suggestion? How do you have implications on this scene as an audience member, right?
Yeah.
So that's always exciting.
Yeah, we're trying to come up with new games that will work on this virtual format, since so much of improv is interaction with the audience. and just being physical with each other, which is not an option when you have to stay within your box. So we've been working and took a month where we just really brainstormed what sort of games we could play during this medium that would work and be intriguing to an audience. And I think that we've come up with some really good games that I think the audience is really going to like. So be sure to tune in.
We're just going to have to let them tune in and tell us how much they like it coming up here when we launch in September, right? All right. Julie, any final words?
No, not really. I'm just happy to be a pig again. Even though it's I'm a virtual pig now.
Virtual pig. I like that.
Yeah.
Wow. I think I like that a little too much. All right, we're going to take another break, get someone else to call in, okay? So everyone say goodbye to Julia.
Bye.
Tad's making suggestions, I think.
Oh, no, Ted, this isn't the show. This isn't the show, Ted.
This is not the show.
This is an interview.
Hear the break. Over the hump, ba-doop-doop-doo. Oh, over the hump.
Are you constantly sitting down at the table and realize that you forgot to get the silverware? Are you out with friends having so much fun when you realize you don't have a spoon? Well, not anymore. Introducing silverware. For all those moments when you're without a thing that you need, that you can eat wherever, whenever. Hi, I'm Holly from the hit show, The Cooking Expert. Want to show off with chopsticks? Go for it, girl. Need a spoon? It's right there. Not only is it useful, but it's practical and stylish. You can get your version of silverware if you just call 1-800-SIL-WEAR. That's 1-800-SIL-WEAR. Tell them Holly sent you.
All right, everybody. We have. Oh, I gotta switch this.
Double Molly.
We have double Molly again. Double Molly. We have a Rachel in the house. If you were just watching during the break, you actually saw a little clip of The Cooking Expert. Molly made a commercial for a different show on Met Comedy Night as her cooking character that was birthed in the sketch show of the Comedy Pigs. Anyways, so who do we have here, really? I just know the first name. Who do we have here, Molly?
So this is Rachel Van Marter. Rachel and I met in Chicago when we did a production of Ramona Quimby together at Emerald City Theater. Rachel was Ramona and I was Beezus.
And we've been sisters ever since.
Sisters
ever since.
Sisters in multiple different productions ever since? Or
no,
just sisters
in a musical sense.
Gotcha. I know sometimes there are people in the theater who like constantly get cast as siblings, so I was wondering if that was your dynamic. It's always good to extend your family in the artistic community. You know, it's like this close-knit art circle, especially if you're involved in several different ways with another person. You just become family, so it's always great to hear.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think that show like bonded Molly and I for life, as theater a lot of the time does for people. So we did Ramona in I think 2014, and we have been like best friends ever since, even after Molly moved to Maryland and I'm still living in Chicago. We've kept in touch this whole time. So
well, that's great. I mean, I know it's it says a lot to keep in touch with someone over long distance, and there's not a global pandemic, right? I remember trying to touch base with several people at the top of everything. So have you go ahead and speak, Rachel, as to the time that you were working with Molly. I would love to hear like a specific story about something that you went through that was humorous or uplifting, or if you like saved the day if there was a tragedy of a situation happening in the tech world of a show that sometimes happens.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if we had any sort of like tragedies that we had to like revert, but I don't think so. I feel like every show we did together ran pretty smoothly. But there are like two specific stories that stick out in my mind. One that Molly loves to tell all the time, which is like a month or two into rehearsing Ramona, we were playing some sort of improv game, and she called me by the wrong name because she was doing like 3 shows at once, and so like confused me with someone else in a different show. And I was just like, no worries, it's all good. But I feel like Molly still like holds that in her heart to this day, and just like still feels so bad about it, even though like I forget about it all the time, but she loves telling that story.
So did she call you the wrong character name or the wrong person name?
The wrong person name. I
Gotcha,
believe
gotcha.
she called me Laura, which isn't even like close to Rachel.
Not even
Yeah, that's funny. Because then if you're involved in multiple shows, Molly, you know you're likely being introduced to multiple different new people in like the different shows, but then you're also remembering their character names at a certain time. So I could see a mistake like that happening. But if you were already getting close, then I could also be like, come on.
Well, and that's where, like, I just remember the situation and being like, why didn't I just, if I wasn't confident in what her name was, why didn't I just call her by her character name? Like, if I had said, hey, Ramona, then it would have been like, oh, she's in character. It was fine. But my brain decided to be like, no, this girl's name is definitely Laura. I'm going to go for it. And it was not even close.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Yeah, the other story I was thinking about earlier this morning when I was like, oh, what am I going to talk about? And at the end of our run of Ramona, like backstage of the theater, everyone would like sign the wall, Joe Schmo, like I worked on this show in this year or whatever. So like the walls were covered in like signatures and stuff.
I love
and so,
seeing
like,
those things.
Yeah. And so the whole time Molly and I were like, all right, on the last day, what are we going to write on this wall? Like we got to like make something like good and snappy and funny. And so like we wrote our little thing on the wall, and then I think like the lighting designer or something was like, they're tearing that wall down, but if you talk to the people at the box office, they might be able to like save your thing for you. And looking back on it, I'm like, in what world were they going to be like, oh yeah, we'll just like cut out everyone's signatures and set them aside, all of these pieces of drywall, and like pass and divvy them out to everyone? Like, no. But Molly and I, like super confident, just like go up to the box office, and Molly's like, hey, we hear you're knocking this wall down. Can we get our signature? And they're like, what are you talking
You
about?
went and asked.
We went and asked. This was our first like professional production in Chicago. I'm pretty sure like we were fresh out of college. So we were just like babies, and we did it. We were just like, yeah, if the lighting designer says this is true, clearly it's true.
I wonder what he was thinking, if he was being mischievous and trying to con you into asking for that, or if he really believed that. I mean, because I would know how to do that, like cut a hole out of like a specific piece of drywall and give it to you or whatever. But I feel like you'd have to actually directly ask the person doing that work. So like, you'd have to like be there when the wall's coming down to be like, hey, I know this is awkward, just save that little chunk for me. But then you have a chunk of wall, and like, where are you gonna keep it? Where are you gonna put it? You're gonna put it up on your wall? I mean,
put it in a little shadow box.
right. I love that you asked. Did you get crazy eyes from the box office? Like, what was going on? Like,
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
They just looked at us like dead-eyed, like wouldn't even like engage or like entertain this question that we
Kinda
were
like,
asking them.
Yeah, it was just kind of like sorry, what? You want us to keep the wall for you? And then like it wasn't coming down like immediately. Like it was probably like months later that they were actually tore down the wall. So
let me write a note here, and maybe someone will see it and remember. But
Yeah,
the odds
and
are 0.1%.
honestly, their reaction is the exact reaction I would have given to crazy girls asking me to save a piece of bread.
That's a great story. It's funny what as a theater artist you gain a large imagination, and it's funny what your large imagination actually makes you think is possible in the real world.
yeah.
So true.
Wow. So thank you so much, Rachel, for being part of the show and sharing some of these stories. We love to hear them here on Over the Hump.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and take another commercial break. Stay tuned and see you in a little bit with a couple more callers. Over the hump, ba-doo-boo-doo. Oh, 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 whoa, 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 whoa.
Hello, my name is Molly Parchment, and this is Met Connect. I am a company member and improviser with the Comedy Pigs, as well as a teaching artist with the Ensemble School and our in-school teaching program. I first connected with the Met back in 2017 when I joined the Comedy Pigs. My favorite moment with the Met is pretty hard to narrow down, but even though it's really recent, it's probably the sketch show that the Comedy Pigs put on this past January. Having the splash zone and seeing the audience's response was just awesome and really hard to beat. Another standout moment for me happened last season when I was in Pride and Prejudice. Matt Bogman, who played Miss Bingley, and Mr. Collins liked to tease the cast and get dressed at the very last minute before the show started. And on our very last show, as the curtain speech was happening, he decided to get completely out of costume and then get into his street clothes, go backstage so that Jeremy could see that he was in his street clothes, and then sprinted backstage to then get his costume back on all before the show started. It was stressful but hilarious, and it's probably one of the funniest things that ever happened backstage at a show. So let's stay connected through the Met.
And we are back. If you were watching during the break, you saw Molly's Met Connect video. We made a lot of videos of Met people talking about how important the Met is to them as a fundraiser. And so, yes, you can donate at marylandensemble.org/donate. Anyways, Molly is here with two of her high school friends. Molly, please introduce your friends.
Sure. So over to, let's see if I can, I'll point this way. This is my friend Matt Rossiter, and below me is the lovely Grace Palmer, who we, like a Brady Bunch thing going on here.
Oh, no, sorry.
We all went to high school together, and we're in the theater department at George Washington Carver for the Arts and Technology, the longest high school name in the history of the world.
Did you have an abbreviation ever when you needed to tell people where you go to school?
We just called it Carver.
Okay. Excellent. So more than likely your friendship was kindled via the theater department of this school, correct?
Yes. We were 3 out of 12, 13 people in the department.
I think.
So
That sounds right.
what would have been the first show you might have done together?
Well, I don't know if we were ever, I guess we were all together our senior year in a show.
We were all in Dark of the Moon together.
Okay, so junior year would have been the first show that we were all together in. But the first show that Matt and I were in high school was You're in Town. And the first show that Grace and I were in was the Songs one.
Songs for New World.
Songs for New World.
Yeah.
Grace, you know all of these titles.
Oh yeah.
You know it all.
Oh yeah, I never forget.
Great.
We also did like so many scenes together in class, and like we really explored all of American theater, I would say.
Yeah, we had an hour and a half acting classes every day, just the 12 of us. So we were working constantly on every genre of theater that you could possibly imagine, from like Greek tragedies to Oscar Wilde to contemporary, somewhat appropriate content for modern theater. Like we spanned the whole range over the course of 4 years, so got to know each other very well.
That's for sure.
Yeah, if it was anything like when I was in high school, I remember especially like doing a scene and like picking my scene partner and trying to pick a scene that was just really fun or really odd or really challenging, like and diving in very dork style was the way I went about it. And those are the days I wore a different band shirt to school every day and my jorts. That was my little theater department experience. So Matt or Grace, do either of you have a specific story working with Molly in a scene or in a show that was particularly humorous or particularly uplifting, or maybe there was something about to go wrong that got fixed or did not get fixed? Jorts are hot right now. Thanks, P. Varga. Yes.
Steven, you just want things to go horribly wrong, it seems like.
No, but I feel like it's important for
Yes.
audience members to realize how theater people save their mistakes, right? Like on
Right.
stage, you disguise it. Even if something's gone wrong, it becomes part of the show that night or whatever. And I love hearing those stories too. Yeah. Unfortunately, I keep asking everyone, what went wrong?
Well, I mean, what I was thinking about, and actually what you just said, Stephen, made me think of this. I remember our senior year, we got to pick, our final showcase scene, and it was very much like, you can do whatever you want. And I remember Molly was partnered with somebody else, I believe, and I was partnered with somebody else, and we were sitting in the same movement room trying to find a scene to do, and just like hating every single scene. And then we were like, hey, do you guys hate all these scenes? And we're like, yeah, I don't want to do any of these scenes. And then we thought, oh my gosh, let's write our scene together. So the four of us joined together.
Wow.
And honestly, for me, I mean, Molly's like my first comedy pal. Like we geeked out over comedy. We would watch the same TV shows and talk about them the next morning. Like we were like all over, we wanted to be on SNL. We made a pact, like all that stuff. And we wrote this, and it was my first sketch I ever wrote. I don't know if it was your first sketch, Molly, but
Yeah, it was.
yeah. So,
And it was awesome because we were just like, I mean, because it was our first sketch, we were just like, what do you want to be in this sketch? And you were like, I don't know, I want to be a doctor who loves to cook. And we were like, done. And then we were like, let's all be superheroes. And we were like, okay, cool. So we just like layered on all these aspects. And I really wish I could find video footage, because I have the actual script, but the video footage would be the best because there was a lot of improv that we did with it too, if my memory is correct. But the memory is probably better because that was one of the best like sketches ever.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. Let's take it into our own hands and make the assignment truly unlimited. Do whatever scene we want, write our own, and also save room for improvising lines during the performance of said scene. What about you, Matt?
Yeah, so probably I think when Molly and I worked together the most was in a show that we did in our junior year called Shadow Box. That was junior year, right?
Senior year.
Senior year. So Molly and I played sort of like an ex couple, and it's a very, very heavy show with very, very dark themes. Very sad, very heavy, all this stuff. And of course it was like the cool modern production, so we were all like on stage while all the other scenes were going on, and just like had to fill this time with little chatter and look very somber and very sad. And Molly, like, we would just sort of like whisper to each other while it was going on, and I was taking French at the time, and she was like, Matt, teach me French. And I would ask me how to say these like little phrases. She was wearing like a tiara and all this jewelry. So she was like, teach me how to say ugly jewels. So I would say, like, teach her the phrase, and then she would just butcher it. Like, horrible, all the wrong words, terrible pronunciation. And like all these dramatic scenes are going on, and we're just trying not to burst out laughing because she's like, je peux du bon odeur. And it's like, oh, hard. But yeah, that made that show a lot more fun than
I think it's
I wish
funny.
I could remember. I know it's Je suis una princesa. Tocan la bocina un coren. Right? That's perfect French.
Wait, so that was part of it. Yes, you got a word.
What I'm picturing is a really good yes and that happened from you, Matt. Because like if you're in high school and you're learning French, especially with the way Americans learn languages, you're still like figuring a lot of things out, right? And then just a person in your theater class is saying, teach me French, because obviously you're qualified to teach as well. This language that you barely know, and I can imagine you in your head knowing it's not going to work out before you started, and then you just saying yes and, which is like the best thing that improvisers and theater artists do. It just, let's try it. And letting her fail at it. That sounds funny. Oh.
Yeah, that was a fun little task that we had on stage. Totally staying in camera or not in camera, in character as well, doing our speaking French.
We have a little more time. What about the show that you all three were in together? And is there any stories from that you remember? Did you go to a TGI Fridays after a show ever?
We went.
Oh yeah.
The Towson Diner was our hang spot.
I remember looking forward to that in the high school productions. Like, I'm going to get a ride with this friend, and we're going to go to an Applebee's or whatever and order a bunch of food and hang out. And it was a server taking care of like 20 people, didn't know what they want, needed help paying for each other. It was just wild.
Probably didn't tip well because we probably only brought money for the one thing that we were going to get, and it was probably just a disaster. But it was probably all in cash because this was before the time that I would have had a credit card.
So
yeah, splitting the bill was always a disaster.
Yeah.
So the Towson Diner.
Yeah, was our.
We definitely did a lot of like sleepovers after shows and whatever, and we would just talk all night because we're just nerds.
Yeah.
Like theater nerds,
Yeah.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
All the show tunes.
Oh yes, sing-alongs. We trick-or-treated way beyond the time of a normal person. We trick-or-treated in our senior year.
Yeah, we did.
For sure. Yeah.
Oh,
Molly was the barnacle boy to my mermaid man. So
Oh yeah, for sure. I remember, like, for me, there might have been the 1 or the 2 years where I stopped doing it or whatever, but then it was like, oh my gosh, no, I love candy. My friends love candy. I love putting on funny costumes. My friends love putting on funny costumes. We're still doing it, and we're gonna do it quicker than the smaller kids. I
We
remember
hit
that.
more houses because of our long legs.
And then we'll drop one pillowcase off and then go out with the other one. It'll be lighter or something.
I mean, you could even take a car. We could have driven around.
Yeah, could have, for sure.
Gosh.
That just made me think of the fact that, okay, we're tying it all together. Matt and I took a megabus from New York City to see Molly in Pride and Prejudice at the Met. Was that last season?
Yes.
It was.
There, I just took it full circle. And
That
it
is
was
so
incredible.
cool.
What an amazing production that was. We had so much fun.
Yeah, hilarious.
So fun, so much fun.
Really special to have you guys there to come and see it. That was the first time that we had been together since, like, all three of us together since I had gotten married, and that was fun. And of course, we always do like a lot of reminiscing about high school when we get together. Most of our reminiscing is as adults now, being like almost 30, looking back on the scenes that we did as high schoolers when we were 15, 16 years old, and just realizing how inappropriate they were for our age, and or just like the lack of experience that we brought to these scenes that at the moment we probably thought were super deep and just groundbreaking, but we were just goofy high schoolers who loved theater. So
There's a comment that just came in. I feel like the idea is this trick-or-treating is going to become a Met fundraiser where I guess we collect a lot of candy and we get to eat as theater people. We get to eat candy. The fundraisers, or maybe we're selling the candy after we trick-or-treat for funds. We got a free kid rental to go trick-or-treating now. And I'm so glad that you came to see Pride and Prejudice. I also, really enjoyed that show. That we had Ira design the set, so the set was beautiful. There was a lot
gorgeous.
of work going into it. And yeah, thank you both for coming on today and talking about the whole high school theater experience. Now I'm like reminiscing in my head my high school theater experience, and same, really thinking that I was providing cutting edge acting whenever I was in high school, and like, yes, it was very green, I'm sure, because I was very young while doing it. Especially remembering doing the "Who's on First" scene, which I did memorize perfectly, but like I feel like that was a tall order to actually perform well in high school. So anyways, we're gonna go to a quick break. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Grace, for coming on today.
Well,
Over the hump, a doo doo doo. Over the hump.
Hi, my name is Tad Janes, the Artistic Director of Maryland Ensemble Theater.
It's Julie, one of the Associate Artistic Directors of Met. So, with the current COVID-19 problem, we know that theaters are hurting.
We know that places where groups gather are probably going to be the last places to reopen, and that's us.
And that's us.
So what do we do?
We know that creating digital content is great, but that's not our art form.
How do we continue to keep our mission of bringing exciting theater experiences to our community? How can we get our community together when we don't even have a place to meet?
Well, the Met minds have been busy considering this question. Met always wants to surprise our audiences.
This year's no different. So we present
A season of surprises.
Trust us.
We can and will create interesting art during this unprecedented time.
You can't come to us, so we'll come to you. Stream on, pop up, drive in.
So here's what we have in store for you. We'll stream a few shows online.
We plan to create a menu of pop-up performances that will be outside, and we will come to you.
And we'll create a live theater experience where you can literally drive in to see theater.
We will be focusing on our original works, as well as historic words and classic works.
Our goals here are to keep connected to you, our community. Use streamed pieces to broaden our audience base, be inventive, and give our creative minds a much-needed outlet.
For the Met to survive what could be a year without audiences, we need your help.
We need you to consider this as a challenge to keep Met in our community. We will bring you interesting art. We promise.
We promise original works and new ideas, new takes on old work.
You could be an angel that keeps Maryland Ensemble Theater alive during this very difficult time.
So please consider becoming a subscriber this year, and we will surprise you.
And we are back. We have Molly here. Molly, thank you so much for coming on the show. I was tickled by a couple of the stories that were shared. And I'm just going to say again, I mean, the artistic community is really important to the artists that habitat that community, because you grow connections, you grow family members and everything. So yeah, Molly, let's elaborate. Well, any last words, Molly?
Yeah, well, just after you said that, yeah, I just think it's so, the people that were on today are so special to me. Grace and Matt, just the fact that we've known each other since high school. And I just remember being in high school and people telling you, like, you don't need to worry about these friends. You're going to move on from them and meet people in college and after college. And those are going to be like your real friends that you hold on to. And so it's so special to me to be so close to them still and be such good friends that we've carried on throughout our lives and have been friends for 15 plus years. And then Rachel, who lives in Chicago, and we met doing a show outside, like after college and everything, but we're able to have such a shared experience doing the show together that carried us through to where now we're just such good friends and interact with each other in our daily lives and think of each other as sisters. So theater is such a special thing that way, of where you can meet people and have a shared experience, and then they end up being a part of your life forever. So I'm really grateful for having those shared experiences. And then with Julia too, of where we just met back in December, and her and all the pigs have become such an important part of my life. And especially during the quarantine, where we were used to seeing each other weekly on Wednesdays. And at first it was really hard to have rehearsals over Zoom and not be able to be in the same room with each other. But now it's become, yeah, it's things that we can't be with each other, but at least like we can still see each other over Zoom and interact that way. But I'm really looking forward to seeing each other.
Those are the moments that I look forward to. Especially I'm so extroverted that I vibe off of my social experiences, which is, I think, is a real reason why I was drawn to the theater at a young age. Was it was a place where it encouraged the maximum amount of interaction with other people, right? And so I always look forward to those times where we have rehearsals, or usually I'm like let me build the show on my computer while they rehearse and make sure that everyone can see everyone and hear everyone and everything while I've been figuring out the streaming platform in this quarantine. But it is something I feel I've adjusted to, and multiple groups have adjusted to, seeing each other on Zoom and playing in that platform in order to still reach people. And that's our intent here on Met Comedy Night, is to have as much as much substance as we did last year when we had shows in real life, just on this digital platform, right? So
we hope that it kind of gives you an opportunity to still see us and feel like, even though you can't come see our shows in person, you can still watch us online, and we'll interact with you during the comments and try out new games. So you'll see something different that you usually don't really see from a Comedy Pigs show. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be fun. It's definitely not my first choice of performing, but if we're going to perform this way, I'd rather do it with this group of people and try out these fun games. And so it's going to be fun.
Excellent. So, Met Comedy Night Extravaganza is going to be from the 31st to the 4th of September. Every night we're going to have something going on for Met Comedy Night, and that'll launch our season where we're going to have the Comedy Pigs, O-Crit, Prov Talks, Over the Hump, and other miscellaneous guest shows as the season progresses and continues. And the Comedy Pig shows that you're going to be in are when?
The Comedy Pigs season opener is on September 11th, and then we'll have a second show in September that's going to be on the 18th. That'll be completely different. So you can tune in both nights. They're 2 weeks apart, or 1 week apart, both on a Friday night for 30 minutes at 9:00 on both days. So tune in.
I'm looking forward to it. I'll definitely be there. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you so much, Molly. Thank you everyone for watching. I loved all the comments coming in. It was a lot of fun this morning.
Yeah. One last plug: if you are looking for different entertainment options or outlets for kids, I'm going to be teaching 3 different virtual acting classes coming this fall, but we also have a wide variety from adult acting classes to improv classes, teen acting classes. So there's lots of variety. Definitely go check them out. But I'd love to.
The ensemble school provided by the Maryland Ensemble Theater. You go to marylandensemble.org. You can find the ensemble school, several different classes. I think there's 5 different teachers, and there's classes with different sections and everything. They're all virtual, so if you're still trying to learn stuff that's artistic, especially if you're still trying to keep your chops up or being on stage, this is our option that the Met's providing for you right now. And those classes start.
They start. It depends on the class.
Yeah, I think the week of the 7th of September, or maybe the week of.
Yeah, some start the week of the 7th, but most start the week of the 14th.
So right in there is when those classes start. So you still got plenty of time to sign up for one of those classes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you again, and this is Stephen and Molly signing off. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
You will not believe the strange things, the strange tales we have to tell you. I am your host, Cliff McAllister, the czar of the bizarre, and you're watching Strange Times Indeed. Of course, this is a call-in show. We take callers from across the globe, and we listen to their stories, their experiences of the unexplained, and we share them with you, the viewer. As a public service. Oh, Magic Scarf, thanks for following us.
Woohoo!
Magic Scarf? Magic Scarf started
Magic
watching the show.
Scarf!
Let's see, Magic Scarf says, if I am figure it out, anybody can. Anyone can join Twitch. Go to your browser, enter the URL twitch.tv/metcomedynight. Join us every Thursday at 9 and call in with your strange stories. As always, this show is brought to you by the Maryland Ensemble Theater, who have the guts to put us on the air. Thanks to all of you for watching Strange Times Indeed. I'm your host, Cliff McAllister, signing off.